February 5th, 2010, from the stylish high-tech underground studios of Ribbit Media in fashionable Warwick, Rhode Island, this is NewsUndies. For Friday, February 5th, 2010, this is NewsUndies, all the news that shouldn't be news. I'm Paul Torville with these headlines. Chinese cadmium jewelry. Are you kidding? Toyota, still smarting from gas pedal a-go-go, admits Prius problem. U.S. military finally embraces its stylish side. Obama to NASA, ditch Bush moon plan. New trademark and licensing rules forbid thinking about certain annual sporting events before or after they happen. Milli Vanilli. Hey gang, it's time for celebrity birthdays once again. I got my cake hat on. Let's rock! For Saturday the 6th, Babe Ruth, dead, and Tom Brokaw. For Sunday the 7th, Emo Phillips and Chris Rock. For Monday the 8th, Freddie Blassie, dead, and Dan Seals. For Tuesday the 9th, Roger Mudd and Carole King. For Wednesday the 10th, George Stephanopoulos and Laura Dern. For Thursday the 11th, Ava Gabor, dead, and Tina Louise, who's really showing her age, maybe? For Friday the 12th, Lauren Green, dead, and Judy Bloom. That's celebrity birthdays. I'm Paul Torville, and I'm done! We'll have stories in detail after this.
I'm an atheist.
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 Just when it seemed they had taken the intellectual and moral high road, something like this had to come out. President Obama's chief of staff, Rahm Emanuel, long known for frank, indelicate outbursts, managed to insult at least three seemingly disparate groups with one simple remark. First, there was the liberal Democrats, who were discussing airing attack ads to bring more conservative Democrats on board with the president's health care plan, who Emanuel referred to as, quote, fucking retarded, end quote. Then there were the people with, what are we calling it now? Significant cognitive challenges? Serious intellectual deficits? Who may or may not have been aware or insulted, but will, they would be, if they knew, if they were, Of course, then there was the Special Olympics, which seems to have taken on a de facto role as the organization which acts offended for those who are unable to do so themselves. Finally, there's the parents, siblings, and other loved ones of people who may or may not have been offended by Emanuel's remark, but if they weren't, certainly would have been if they had the requisite, I speak, of course, of former Alaska governor, former U.S. vice presidential candidate, and current Fox News talking empty head, Sarah Palin. As you may know, Palin's youngest child, Trig, has Down syndrome, so as of 2008, this has been a pet issue for her. That makes 4 groups. I did say at least 3. Empty ritual, anachronistic costumes, quaint provincial folklore, and vapid showmanship have been the hallmarks of this winter tradition which people travel hundreds and sometimes thousands of miles to celebrate. I speak, of course, of Groundhog Day. The most famous celebration takes place in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, although many communities with widespread seasonal affective disorder and little else to offer have also taken up the pointless tradition. For the uninformed, Groundhog Day always falls on February 2nd and appears to be rooted in the German tradition surrounding Candlemas. The whole thing's a mess and may have come into being in part because of the differences in the dates of the equinoxes and solstices between the Julian and Gregorian calendars, which transitioned in then British colonial North America in 1752. Of course, now that we have things like telescopes, weather satellites, Doppler radar, atomic clocks, and science, We really don't need to rely on a bunch of top-headed, caped buffoons listening to the climatological prognostications of a rodent. There's a parallel here, but I just can't seem to place it. Lost. 78-year-old actor Rip Torn was arrested last Friday in a bank in Salisbury, Connecticut. The bank, which looks a lot like an ordinary residence if you ignore the big sign on the front that says Litchfield Bank Corp. It was late, the bank was closed, and maybe the sign wasn't lit. Anyway, according to police reports, Torn was apparently intoxicated when he was found in the bank and has been charged with 5 crimes, 2 of which involve the loaded firearm he's alleged to have been carrying. So, the Ripster's been involved in 4 alcohol-related incidents in the last 6 years, 3 of them vehicular in nature, 2 resulting in convictions. Listen, Ripster, I liked you in Down Periscope, but really, you're not setting much of an example for the kids here. Nevada lawmakers are cheesed off at President Obama because he made a remark saying, quote, "When times are tough, you tighten your belts. You don't go buying a boat when you can barely pay your mortgage. You don't blow a bunch of cash in Vegas when you're trying to save for college. You prioritize. You make tough choices." End quote. Here are Pig and Sheep with their thoughts.
Well, Las Vegas is Sin City. Maybe we shouldn't be going there anyway. Momentarily setting aside the 6, 7, and 8-figure bonuses being handed out to bank executives bailed out with federal tax dollars, the president is right. A gambling junket to Las Vegas should be fairly low on most Americans' lists, especially with all these fine local Indian casinos available in most areas.
That's what Pig and Sheep think. What are your thoughts? Email them to ovcomments@newsundies.com. And now, This Week in Historicity with Ollie Oliphant.
Hello and welcome to This Week in Historicity. This past Tuesday was the Christian holiday of Candlemas. Candlemas is the celebration of the, quote, presentation of Jesus at the temple, end quote, which is supposed to occur 40 days after Jesus' birth, which would coincide with the Jewish ritual of purification of Mary, Jesus' mother, after his birth. In case you hadn't heard, some people believe that this Jesus of Nazareth character was the son of the Abrahamic God of the Jews, the Messiah of the Jews, and the Redeemer of men, and so on. Others feel that if he existed at all, he was certainly not divine. There is no accurate record of the number of people who've died horribly as a result of this dispute, but it is almost certainly embarrassingly large. Of course, the timeline of the life of Jesus of Nazareth, if indeed he was an historical figure, is so muddled and in dispute that his birthday, as observed by the Roman Catholics and those faiths which have splintered off of it, is apparently more a dartboard choice than any sort of historical fact. The Eastern Orthodox churches identify January 6th as the date of Jesus' birth. Other accounts point to the birth taking place in April, May, and November. Of course, this level of accuracy is something of a pipe dream because secular scholars and theologians are unable to pin down the year of his birth with an accuracy better than a decade. Quite.
Thanks, Ollie. NASA has decided to give up on trying to free the Mars rover named Spirit. NASA and JPL have been working to unstick Spirit from its soft soil location since May of last year. Spirit, which landed safely on Mars over 5 years ago and has been roving around and doing science right up until it got stuck in the sand last May, long outliving the 90-day mission originally planned for the rover. Of course, now, the triumph of Spirit and its sister rover Opportunity will surely be overlooked by detractors of NASA's efforts, claiming that the program cost of $820 million could surely be better spent here on Earth. Given the propensities of such people, they're likely to just spend the money on a war, or to give it as a bonus to some bank executive. Or am I being too cynical? We'll have your exclusive past cast weather and the final news roundup right after this. And now, here's your exclusive pastcast weather for the week ending February 5th, 2010. The Intermountain region saw a mix of snow and sun with temps hovering around freezing. The desert southwest saw rain and snow except where there was sun. The Pacific Northwest saw periods of rain and drizzle with seasonable temperatures. And that's your exclusive pastcast weather. The Jersey Shore. A 35-year-old dog groomer has been convicted of 1 misdemeanor count and 1 summary count of animal cruelty. The charges stem from her attempt to market, quote, Gothic kittens, end quote, on the internet. That would be black kittens with ear and neck piercings and bobbed tails. The conviction seems to open a door for animal advocacy groups to go after people who have their dogs' ears cropped and tails bobbed, as well as putting on notice parents who have their children's ears pierced at an early age. Then, of course, there's all the ear tagging of livestock that goes on, either through piercings or cuts. Then there's the tagging of large fish and whales with small barbed harpoons. Somehow, all these other activities have to be differentiated from the goth kitties. Good luck with that. And finally, and I do mean finally, we all saw this coming, didn't we? The First Lady for the time being of South Carolina, Jenny Sanford, has admitted in her new book, apparently that's the thing to do, that her husband, still governor of South Carolina, Mark Sanford, asked her for advice on what he should reveal in interviews and whether he should pursue the relationship with the woman in Argentina. That's class. Kind of makes you wonder what she saw in him in the first place. Well, that's all for this edition of News Undies. Remember, News Undies is normally a weekly show, but we'll be off next week, returning Friday, February 19th with fresh undies. If you see news that shouldn't be news, email your story tips to undies@newsundies.com. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Paul Torville. After that, I might be a goth kitty. No, there's no freaking chance of that. Honestly. A goth kitty, come on. Scene 4. Which transitioned in the then British colonial... Alright. Here we go. Oh. I'm going to bed.